Shalom, shalom, shalom. This is your brother Kadar, GMS Gulf Coast. I'd like to start by giving infinite honor and glory to the Most High Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rekah, Quadash. Double honors are given unto the apostle elders of Great Millstone, men who have labored and suffered in this truth for over 30 plus years, making their lives and their bodies a living sacrifice. Also, I'd like to send a shalom to the hopeful elect, 1/3 of the nation of Israel, the speckled birds scattered throughout the four winds of planet Earth, north, south, east, and west, which consist of men, women, and children, in that order. Also, I'd like to send a shalom to the various GMS camps, elders, and heads. And last but not least, I'd like to send a shalom to any of you Akim not named GMS, but walk in one spirit, one body, in Yahweh Shai with this 100% truth as taught to us all by the apostle elders of Great Millstone. To you all, shalom. I was checking this out right here, July 15th, 2022. Last update 3 days ago, energy. Now, I would rather this be to the point and it be edifying. Now, how short it be, that just all depends. But I want to get right into this here because, President Biden is making his tour across Asia and talking to the Saudis and the Jewish people, quote unquote, the Jewish people in Israel. And just, he making a lot of not in-house, well, you could say in-house visit because he's supposed to be friends, allies, so to speak, how they say in the world of world leaders, the allies, friends, so-called friends. But he's doing a lot of traveling and it's a lot of walking back, because photo shopping and everything is going to happen, when he go to these different lands where he say he's going to make certain people, he's going to make them into a pariah, make a mockery of them, accusing certain world leaders of assassinations and whatnot, you dig? And then you turn it around and he has to go and ask these peoples, for extra barrels of oil to help ease the world markets as far as energy is concerned. But I want to read this right here. It says, exclusive Saudi Arabia doubles second quarter Russian fuel oil imports for power generation. Now, let me get straight to the crux of it. It says this includes content produced in Russia where the law restricts coverage of Russian military operations in Ukraine. Kingdom burns Russian oil fuel to free up crude for exports. For exports. Biden travels to ask I can't pronounce it, for more oil. Russian raises supply to Asia, Africa amid Western sanctions. So let's see, them sanctions are not working out like, NATO and America and Canada, like they thought it would, because in the end, like you say, a lot of these countries that are on board with the U.S., they still have the backdoor deal with Russia. And Saudi Arabia is one of these exporters that is dealing with Russia as well, as far as buying and swapping or however they doing with this fuel. This whole sanction thing is turning to be a mess for the United States. It's almost as though they didn't see the checkmate. How you have someone in checkmate, you say check on the chess game. It's almost as though they didn't see this move was going to put them in check. They, for the lack of better words, the United States is in check. Check. Let's read this here. It says Moscow/London/Dubai, July 15th. Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, more than doubled the amount of Russian fuel in imported. So let me read it again. So Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, more than doubled the amount of Russian fuel it imported. So they imported over double the amount of Russian fuel they imported in the second quarter to feed power stations to meet summer cooling demands and free up the kingdom's own crude for export, data showed, as traders said. So to, to make sure that they don't run out of oil, they are importing oil from Russia. Now, these are the same people that President Biden is over there. You know, he just pointed fingers saying that the Saudi crown prince and whatnot was involved in an assassination of a journalist or engineer or someone of that sort. Now, and I'm going to show you that news clip where Biden over there fist bumping with that same man that he calling a murderer. So like, let me clean that up. He says responsible for someone being taken out. Now he's going to these people right here, and it just said that Saudi Arabia, the world's largest oil exporter, means they, as far as the world is concerned, they're the top exporter, meaning exporting oil to different countries, different governments. They're the largest, meaning they, out of all the oil that's, I'm just going to throw a number out there, just hold me to this. They export 51% of all the oil that's distributed throughout planet Earth, which that 1% of half of 100, 51% would put them over the top, where they might have 3 or 4 other competitors, doing 30%, 10%, but overall, the Saudis, the world's largest oil exporter, more than doubled the amount of Russian fuel it imported. Double. In the second quarter to feed power stations to meet summer cooling demands and free up the kingdom's own crude for export, data showed. Russia has been selling fuel at a discounted price after international sanctions over its invasion of Ukraine left it with fewer buyers. Moscow calls the war in Ukraine a special military operation. Now they say Russia has been selling its oil at a discount price. I mean, maybe not. I mean, it doesn't seem as though Russia's hurt. If Saudi has doubled the amount of oil that they imported from Russia, you follow what I'm saying? And then you turn around in the next statement saying that they lowered their prices. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. I mean, anyway, let's keep reading. It says the increase of sale of fuel oil used in power generation to Saudi Arabia show the challenge that the U.S. President Joe Biden faces as his administration seeks to isolate Russia and cut its energy export revenues. Now he's finna go over here. He got a problem with Russia, one. He's got a problem with Saudi Arabia, two. And these two right here happen to be in bed together as far as dealing, in finances over natural resources. And then three, the U.S. has to eat crow and go over here and ask the Saudis, the government of the Saudis, to get them extra barrels of oil. But at the same time, Russia is selling the Saudis oil. I don't know if they've shown that or have made that fact known on MSNBC, Meet the Press, CBS, Fox, CNN, Morning Joe, the Hannity Show. I don't know. But that's something that the American public needs to know, wouldn't you think? Anyway, it says While many countries have banned or discouraged purchases from Russia, China, India, and several African and Middle Eastern nations have increased imports. Let's read that one more time. It says, while many countries have banned or discouraged purchases from Russia, China, India, and several African and Middle Eastern nations have increased imports. Biden was on Friday visiting Saudi Arabia and was expected to seek an increase in oil supply to global markets from the kingdom to help to lower oil prices that have aggravated inflation worldwide. Same. This is this if this ain't eating crow, and then talking and then having to go out here and Photoshop with the criminals, for lack of a better word. This doesn't look good for America. Doesn't look good at all. Which just shows you, just one more nail in the coffin for this place. This place is not this, and this what I mean. This place, America's not getting out of this. They're not. I see an uptick in the Caucasian race or the Edomite race, which that's the biblical nationality, so-called white race. Flags and support. It's all in vain though. This place is done. There ain't nothing they can do to regain the glory days of the 50s, the 40s, and the 30s. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. This place is laden with thick clay, as in Habakkuk, thick debt, been throwing their weight around for the past, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 decades, and they've been put in check. If you play chess, you know what I'm saying. They put themselves in check. It seems as though that they wasn't even conscious of the move that they was making. That they were putting their king in check. And sooner or later, the Lord is gonna checkmate this place. It ain't too much longer. It says there's little spare capacity for Saudi and others to increase production in the short term. Saudi Arabia has also maintained its cooperation with Russia in the alliance of global producers known as OPEC. The two are the de facto leaders of respectively OPEC and non-OPEC producers in that group. Data obtained by Reuters through Refinitiv Econ ship tracking showed Saudi Arabia imported 647,000 tons or 48,000 barrels per day of fuel from Russia via Russian and Estonian ports in April, June this year. What did it say? 48,000 barrels a day from Russia since April and June a day. The world's largest exporter, Saudi, has been importing per day 48,000 barrels since April. This was up from 320,000 tons in the same period a year ago. So this has been an ongoing thing. Anyway, let's go. Let's jump up out of here. I want to bring up a few real quick. Let's see. Slovakia. Americans played themselves. And the American public, by and large, they just a bunch of dummies. Let's call it what it is. The American public is just a bunch of These people are here in America are so proud and so self-centered that they can't see the writing on the wall. You know, they can't see the writing on the wall, especially you Jakes, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native and Seminole Americans. You still looking for that piece of American pie. And you've adopted these proud and pompous attitudes and outward looks on the world because you've adopted being a heathen, being these people, calling yourselves Americans when you're the Lord's chosen people. But be that as it may, you're going to pay the price that this place is going to pay if you don't repent. Anyway, let me look at Meet the Press.
Angie's List is now Angie, and it's easier than ever to get your project done right. With Angie, you can connect with top pros and see ratings and reviews. And when you book and pay through Angie, you're covered by our happiness guarantee. Check out Angie.com today. Angie, and done.
Lock you for that.
This one. Questions from...
Now let's see how this is Meet the Press, MTP, July the 15th of this year. Biden meets with MBS. Let's see how this all, or rather, let's see how mainstream news media, respond to this, how shall I put this, hypocritical move by their head statesman. Let's see how the data respond to this.
Welcome to Meet the Press Now. I'm Kristen Welker. We do begin with breaking news on the world stage. Just moments ago, President Biden delivering remarks from Saudi Arabia after his controversial meeting with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the alleged mastermind behind the murder of journalist and Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. He told reporters he raised the killing of Khashoggi with the Saudi Crown Prince and also told him he believes he was responsible. The president...
You heard what she said. He raised, he brought that up about the killing of the journalist to the Saudi Crown Prince, to the government of the Saudis, and he claimed he booted up on him. But let's see how that interaction went.
President saying he was straightforward and direct with MBS. He then took a few questions from reporters. We're going to get to all of it in just a moment. President Biden was reluctant to make this visit, perhaps out of concern of images like this one, this fist bumping with MBS when he arrived, after vowing to make Saudi Arabia a pariah state. Washington Post publisher Fred Ryan called it, quote, worse than a handshake and, quote, shameful. But the White House finds itself in a bind due to Saudi's key role in global energy markets as inflation soars. When President Biden and the Saudi delegation appeared on camera earlier today, reporters in the room could not hear the remarks made by either the president or the crown prince due to restrictions placed by the palace.
Oh, so he said that he booted up and he confronted him about all that, but then lo and behold, there's no audio to back that up. So due to the restrictions of the government of the Saudis, it wasn't nothing, no recording was allowed. No, no audio was allowed, just video. So, President Biden could have said anything, could have been commending him on his gold toilet or something. You never know. These people will tell you anything. Anyway, let's let it play.
Shake and, quote, shameful. But the White House finds itself in a bind due to Saudi's key role in global energy markets as inflation soars. When President Biden and the Saudi delegation appeared...
That's the point. The White House finds itself in a bind, being that Saudi Arabia is one of the largest exporters of natural resources. All that you talking and whatnot, booting up and, and accusing someone of this and that and the third. Now you got to go over here and fist bump. After you said all that over here at the house, now you over there taking pictures, fist bumping, and then excluding the audio from the meeting itself. But later you say, hey, I booted up on him. I confronted him about this, that, and the third. But that ain't lining up with, it's just bad look. It's a bad look. Let's just put it like this, bad look.
On camera earlier today, reporters in the room could not hear the remarks made by either the president or the crown prince due to restrictions placed by the palace. My NBC News colleague Peter Alexander still tried his best to ask MBS about Jamal Khashoggi. Take a listen.
Jamal Khashoggi, will you apologize to his family, sir?
Thank you guys. President Biden, is Saudi Arabia still you guys? President Biden.
According to new reporting from NBC News, today's meetings were a culmination of months of lobbying and persuading by officials in the administration to get the president on board. One official describing it to NBC News as a, quote, Herculean effort. This final leg of the president's trip abroad closes out an already rough week that included bad poll numbers, a worse than expected inflation report, and now another setback to his domestic agenda on Capitol Hill. There was some hope President Biden would at least be able to secure some kind of a deal on oil production and prices before returning to D.C., but when he spoke with reporters, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan tamped down any expectations of an announcement with Saudi Arabia on that issue, though the president did just tease that there has been some progress. So with that, I'm joined now by my colleague Carol Lee, who is...
All right, that's enough of that. Put your world leaders on front. I want to tap into something right here, gravitas, real quick, and then I'm going to grab a precept, and I'm going to close out. Like I say, Lord willing, Abaratazah, it'd be edifying, you know. But we're going to tap into this because, see, this is just one of many issues that this place, the United States, and its allies are going to have to deal with in the days to come. Because believe it or not, this is one global citizen, one global people, one nation. Many nations under one umbrella, you know. And this right here may tap into that real quick. Listen.
The alarm bells are deafening. Wildfires, floods, and hurricanes. Extreme climate events warn of impending doom. Is the world heading towards a climate catastrophe? Watch WION's Climate Tracker, weekdays at 12 p.m. GMT, 5:30 p.m. IST.
You don't know how to fix the holes in our ozone layer. You don't know how to bring the salmon back up a dead stream.
Grant. Home buyers have... Why had they suspended payments? We have estimates. Home buyers boycott. Look at this headline.
Now this is going, and then this is another China's mortgage boycott data erased by census as China spreads a boycott campaign in China. Now, China mortgage boycott data erased by census. Now, if you think back to, I think it was 2010, 2001, September the 10th of 2001. That was a meeting between then the Department of Defense Director, his name slips my mind, but he was in the Bush administration. The Department of Defense Director, I can't think his name, it just slipped my mind just like that. Anyway, the day before 9/11, they sat down before the Pentagon, and they sat down before the some type of committee where they track funds and debt and this, that, and the third. I can't think. His name almost came to mind. But anyway, he said that $23 trillion was unaccounted for. They couldn't track. They couldn't tell you where it went. They couldn't tell you, you know. And that next day you had 9/11. You had 9/11, and then 7 years later you had the mortgage crisis. It was just one thing after another. And if that didn't tell you one thing, that all of these things are tied together, you know, because the World Trade Center is where paperwork as far as what comes in and what goes out of the United States. And if you go over there and you burn up all the receipts or you tear down the building, then there's no way of proving this or that. Mind you, China mortgage boycott data erased by census. Same playbook, just to let you know that these people are all interconnected. Because those banks like Lehman and Bear Stearns and, all those big banks and whatnot, they are all intertwined worldwide. So you're going through the same thing that's happening in China. But I don't know if the United States or rather the mainstream news outlets over here in the States are putting this out. I'm not going to say that they're not. I'm not going to say that they are. I just haven't seen that yet. So it's not to say that they're not, so. But having said that, I want to play this real quick.
China mortgage boycott data erased by censors as crisis spreads. The story broke today. And when Chinese censors swing into action, it is often an indication that there is a big problem. These censors took down some documents. What was in the documents? Data about mortgage boycotts in the country, information about the projects that are stalled, images of letters by home buyers. These are the people who declared they will not be paying their EMIs anymore. And China is trying to hide all of this data. So how big is the problem? In one word, massive. We have estimates. Home buyers have stopped mortgage payments in at least 100 projects. Where are these projects? In more than 50 cities. Numbers from the leaked data set suggest that the problem is much bigger, according to...
Now, mind you, the country of China has over, 1.2 billion or a couple of billion people? That's a big problem. The United States has a citizenship of a little over 360 million. So you're talking about 8 times larger than the United States. You know what I'm saying? So you put that in the mind frame. You're dealing with 1.2 billion or 2 billion people. Account for about maybe a third of the world's population, or just somewhere, if not that, very near. And the United States, 360 million people, and them that collapse the world economy. These things are being done strategically, and I dare to say that they're being kept under wraps. If MSNBC or Fox or CNN, Morning Joe, Meet the Press, or any of them are not, reporting on this, why keep it, and I'm not saying that they haven't now. Don't get me wrong. Maybe they have. Maybe they have. And maybe they haven't. But if not, it's being put out there. Why is the public by and large, or the global citizen? Because look at the reaction of these people. Watch this.
Report, the boycott is happening in as many as 86 cities. How many projects? More than 230. How many people have stopped paying EMIs in China? We don't have the exact numbers, but a Chinese news outlet has published a report. It has pictures of the leaked data set. Now look at this. There are more than 80 entries on this list alone. 46,000 home buyers have suspended payments in 14 projects. 46,000. These projects are in central, southern, and eastern China. So people are refusing to pay EMIs in 80 cities. You can imagine the scale of the crisis. Why had they suspended payments? Because they've not got their homes, the ones that they bought. The developers have not finished those projects. Most of these projects have failed. And these projects belong to the developers who recently defaulted. The biggest culprit is a name you would recognize, Evergrande. It was the largest property developer in China. Now it has the largest debt pile in the world. 35% of the projects facing a revolt today belong to Evergrande. Home buyers have every right to be angry. If they're not getting their homes, why should they keep paying their EMIs? And all of this is bad news for the Chinese state, because if the boycotts continue, there will be more defaults. How much money are we talking about? At least $58 billion. That's the value of all the loans in delayed housing projects. How will China revive these projects? Its options are limited. China's property sector has become one of its biggest liabilities. Recent defaults have put banks at risk. The actual debt pile is much bigger. Again, I have some numbers. Chinese banks have lent $9.2 trillion to the property sector. And more than half of these are mortgage loans. In the last 1 year, several developers...
They have lent over $9.2 trillion to the infrastructure, to the, the home sector. And over half of them are dealing with these loans. So you're talking about roughly what it is? What go $4.5 trillion, 100 billion. You see this? That's a lot of money. And when you get into the T's, ain't no country can pay back no loans like that. Trillions of dollars. All of these countries are laden with thick debt, thick clay. And it's being done systematically by the people who are giving them the money. Pumping money in. And why you got to ask yourself why they're doing that. This is going to make it justified when the people who actually pull the purse strings of the world, who actually have the world dancing to their own tune, when they make a move on the world by and large, or the citizens of the world, they're going to be justified when they're ready to move and make that MTBO, the MTOB. Yes. When they want to make that mandatory, it's going to be all legit because guess what? All of this debt, you owe us. You owe us. Well, some people are not taking the line down. I can't say the same for the United States public by and large because this is just a place full of proud and pompous people. And Jake has just followed suit,
have defaulted. 28 out of China's top 100 developers have either defaulted, have either failed to pay their loans or sought an extension from their creditors. Now, here's why we say that the recovery is going to be tough. In the first half of this year, 2022, property sales plummeted in China by 72% in 1 year. 72% drop. Chinese regulators are pressing the panic button. They've told banks to come clean. China wants to know how big the mortgage debt pile is. There are plans to infuse cash into the economy. Reports say Beijing could pump $1.1 trillion. This money will go into infrastructure projects. It will lift the construction sector and by extension, lift the Chinese economy. At least that's the hope. Chinese regulators say they will help the property sector too, but there's no plan yet. Housing projects going bust, borrowers unable to repay debt, and banks fearing a collapse. We've seen all of this before. This is exactly what happened in the year 2008, the subprime mortgage crisis in America. That's what it was.
And that was the point. These banks are going bust all across the planet. They're all intertwined. And if there's anything that you should have learned in 2008, that paying bills, it's a, what they call it, necessary evil. I think that's what they say in the world. It's a necessary evil, but it is what it is. After your housing and mortgages and all that went topsy-turvy, they should have been doing the same thing that these people in China are doing. I'm not paying you shit. It's like you for that. I didn't mean to come off like that. I'm trying to keep this clean. I ain't paying you nothing. But United States, these people over here are proud and pompous. And they're always hoping that tomorrow will be a brighter, shinier day and things get back to the way they used to be, And that mindset has made the American public, by and large, one big old Charlie Brown episode, to say the least. Just stupid. Anyway, enough of that, because the point has been made. This is, all of these things that are happening, to my America, by and large, is in check. And the things that started over here in America has spread throughout the planet Earth. Because why? They all were in bed with America. They're always in bed with America, all except for Russia for the most part. He was all in bed. Anyway, I want to get a couple of definitions real quick.
Citizenship is the idea that one's identity transcends geography or political borders and that responsibilities or rights are derived from membership in a broader class, humanity.
Global citizenship. Global citizenship is the idea that one's identity transcends geography or political borders and that responsibilities or rights are derived from membership in a broader class, humanity. So you all are gonna have to share in the latent and thick clay, the debt that this world or this society has laid at your footsteps. Especially you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native and Seminole Americans. Everybody else really don't matter. They're gonna have to pay in the kingdom with hard labor. But you, Jakes, you can come out of this foolishness right now. You can come out of that. You can come out of that illusion of it's gonna get better tomorrow and whatnot. Because all these ideas were thought of generations ago. There's nothing new under the sun. And it failed then and it's gonna fail again. Anyway, let's see. I want to look real quick. It says global citizenship. It says global citizenship is the umbrella term for social, political, environmental, and economic action of global-minded individuals and communities on a worldwide scale. Global citizenship, the United Nations. It's that old one world, you know what I'm talking about? Ordeal. I don't want to say the word. Global citizenship is an umbrella term. Okay, we just read that. It says the term can refer to the belief that individuals are members of multiple diverse local and non-local networks rather than single actors affecting isolated societies, promoting global citizenship and sustainable development, just like China, with all them sky-rise buildings and whatnot, but these people can't move in them. Promoting global citizenship and sustainable development will allow individuals to embrace their social responsibility to act for the benefit of all society, not just their own. In other words, you can't look out for your own. You have to share the responsibility of everybody else's mess up, everybody else's failure. You follow what I'm saying? And that ain't the way the Lord had things set up. The Lord has set out each nation according to, gave them their boundaries and gave them their land according to the boundaries he set forth for the nation of Israel. So he separated you. But what they want to do, global citizen, want to make everyone one people. Matter of fact, real quick, let's grab that where the Most High separated. So let you know that this is something wicked and this is something that they've been trying to promote forever. This is Deuteronomy chapter 32 and verse 8, and it reads, Years of generations. To verse 8, and it reads, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he, check this out now, this word is very important right here, this word that's about to be said, when he separated the sons of Adam. Did he say bring them all together, one nation, one global citizen? No. When he separated, that's actually a 360-degree difference from what they're doing today. It's one global citizenship today. But the Lord, Yahweh, the Most Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and his only begotten Son, Yahweh Shai, it says when he separated. See, that's why I say that's wicked. You have to share in somebody else's calamity and whatnot. Because see, the things that you do, that you march to and you abide by may be different from others. But then if you're to drop what you're doing to make yourself at equal or at ease or to appease others, you become wicked because they may be eating frog legs and damn spiders. When where you come from, they say all of that is abominable eating. You don't eat that. You follow what I'm saying? Something as simple as that. Anyway, let's read it. It says, when the Most High divided to the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. Verse 9, for the Lord's, Yahweh's portion is his people, Jacob, is the lot of his inheritance. So that's just some wicked mess right there. Now, real quick, let me see. Let's go one more. Let's see. I think it's what? Let's go. First Maccabees chapter 1. And let's read a few verses here in the First Maccabees. And it's going back to when these people came into power. When they took down the Persian Medes, the Greeks had came into power. And there were certain ones of them, after Alexander had passed, that were just about that foolery. And it's not to say that Alexander wasn't about it, but this one particular character, Antiochus. And this is First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 40, and it reads, as it had been her glory. Is that what I'm looking for? Yes, I'm gonna start at verse 40, yeah. And it reads, as had been her glory, so was her dishonor increased, and her excellency was turned into mourning. And it's going into the children of Israel. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people. This ain't no new idea. That's global citizen ordeal. This ain't nothing new. As a matter of fact, the people who are running planet Earth right now are the descendants of these people who came up with this idea. The apple don't fall from the tree. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Yes, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrifice unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. Because you can go back up to, I think it's First Maccabees 11, 1 and 11. Let me go there real quick. And it reads, in those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So, Jake always was looking for a way, talking about to try to ease him being a Jake. So, and convince other Jakes to do the same. So that's what we get in verse 43. Yea, many also of Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Talking about you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbath and feasts and festival days, and pollute the sanctuary and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And them churches loved had them catfish nuggets and whatnot after, Sunday service, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and profaneness, to the end they might forget the law and change all the ordinance. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, that one government, that one people, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judea to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit, everyone that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land. Now he put overseers over them, and the king in them days, it's like the kings of the day, but the overseers are the governors, these kings like King Herod was put over, was set as a puppet leader over Israel back in the day, by the Romans. So you had these puppet leaders like President Biden, the Saudi prince and all these, what I'm talking about, but lo and behold, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. They set the rule. They set everything up. And although Biden is a part of that race, he's still a puppet upon the people who actually pulling the purse strings. He's been set up over the people because unbeknownst to the American public, those folks are not voted in by your vote. They're put in there by electoral college. And you was taught that back in grammar school. Anyway, Lord willing, it was edifying to feed the lambs. Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Double honors to the apostle, elders, great millstone. Shalom.